I just remembered something I see happen when people are disagreeing with me, people who I think are Christians. They disagree with my interpretation regarding the role of the law in the New Testament for Christians. And I just want to offer this as a good faith criticism. So something I see happen is, so like in Matthew when Jesus is, they say, Lord, Lord, didn't we do this? Didn't we do that? And he says, I never knew you, workers of iniquity. Some people will say, most evangelicals or Baptists will tell me that they thought they were saved by their works. Well, I want to listen to what Jesus was saying. He was saying, he often as well referred to the commandments when saying when people needed to be saved. He even did, which is difficult, right? Because I don't even believe you're saved by keeping the commandments. I don't think Jesus did either. But he didn't make that distinction very clear in his teaching. So I think is what most Christians do is I'll point out that, hey, he characterized them as lawless. And he also always pointed to the commandments or not sinning or obeying. You know, whether the Pharisees, they were hypocrites because they didn't actually obey the law of God. And the woman in sin, he was forgiving, but he had told her to not sin anymore. Or, you know, why do you put the traditions of men over the commandments of God? Or what must I do to be saved? Well, do you keep what's the greatest commandment, right? So the point of this quick music or this quick um, message here is that why are they? So I would want to say Jesus is characterizing them as lawless, not as being work salvationists. But then they want to argue with me over that. So here's where I find it inconsistent. We'll be talking about something else Jesus taught, and suddenly, oh, well, Jesus was teaching the Jews under a different dispensation or under the law. We're not under the law. Okay. So are you saying when we were under the law, we were saved by the law? So what was Jesus? Why are you arguing in Matthew 7 for that he was against work salvationists? And then other places you won't accept Jesus' teaching as being towards us. How do you work that out? Seems inconsistent. In other words, it seems like you're picking and choosing when you feel like you can make the text say what you need it to say, and then because you want to take Jesus' teachings and apply them to your life, which is good. But are you being consistent or honest every time? I mean, I don't think people are willfully dishonest about it, but I think the better way to understand the New Testament is to harmonize Paul, James, and Jesus. I think it's a big mistake to think Jesus was just teaching them under the law. Not that that's not true, but I think what people mean by under the law is incorrect. It doesn't mean the law is done away with. It means we're not under the law because we're under grace, because he took our place for dying. You know, we deserve to die for our sin, and that's the rigid rule under the old covenant. But now we have forgiveness because Jesus took our place for breaking the law. Grace is for forgiveness for sin. If he did away with the law, there is no sin. There's nothing to be forgiven for, because there is no law where there is no there is no transgression where there is no law, for sin is the transgression of the law. If Jesus put the law away for good, what is your standard for sin? What do you repent of? What are you turning from to Jesus for? It doesn't make any sense. The law never saved you. It was supposed to drive you to the need, to see your need for God's provision for your sin in the old covenant and the new. So if it was just a mirror in the Old Testament, we still have sin in the New Testament. Why wouldn't it still be a mirror in the New Testament? That's the question. Jesus put away sin at the cross is our guarantee. But it's an already and not yet sort of thing. Because we still sin. But we won't in the eternal state when we get our glorified body.
Bring me lunch.
So just consider, are you being consistent? Are you taking on all of Jesus' teaching? Or are you modifying the ones you can modify to make it fit your New Testament idea of the new covenant? And discarding the rest because you see no way to make it fit? And is that consistent? if everything Jesus taught was under the old covenant, which is different now, and Paul brought some new revelation that's teaching something different than Jesus. I say no, Jesus taught the gospel of the kingdom. Jesus came to teach the new covenant as promised. See Isaiah 42:21 and surrounding context, as well as Jeremiah 31. The covenants God made with man are through the Jews, promised to the Jews in prophecy, and executed by Jesus Christ to the Jew first, then the Greek. Only go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And then he died, and then they only went to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And then when the 70th week was over, it went to the world, and the Gentiles are grafted in. There is no covenant with Gentiles. There's a covenant for Gentiles that they can be grafted into, which is founded with the Hebrew nation, and so was the church. Didn't call Paul, Paul didn't go out to the Gentiles until the 70th week was up. But even if that's not true, it's still true that he came to the Jews, promised to the Jews, to bring their new covenant that God said he would do, where he would write his laws on their hearts. God does not change. If your system has God changing his moral attributes, you got a big problem. God bless.